Just look at this.
The threat of anarchy swells.
Tell me that is not one of the most breathtaking examples of visual design you have ever seen in a game. It certainly is for me. Man, it's a shame there isn't like an actual, incredible gameplay experience tied to it while it looks this good. Oh, wait! There is! Hello, my fellow soon-to-be adventurers through the world of No Rest for the Wicked. A new ARPG set to flip the genre on its head by the creators of Ori and the Blind Forest in Moon Studios. I wanted to just take a moment to simply talk about this game, to really let it sink in just actually how much of a special experience it looks like we're about to get. Everything that has shown so far ticks all the boxes you could ever want ticked, and it'll even tick some boxes you didn't even know you had. And we have indeed been fortunate enough to check out the game early ourselves, and indeed, yeah, it's not just all show in the various trailers, it really is quite fantastic. And with it going into early access literally tomorrow, well, I think it is a very good time to actually talk Wicked. Now, this is sponsored, but I don't want to give the wrong impression. I agreed to be a partner for this game because it looked incredible. I do not believe it looks incredible because I agreed to be a partner for this game. Indeed, I have never vocally supported a product that I don't actually personally believe in this way. But this one, yeah, I want to make sure it gets the attention it deserves. So, thank you to Moon Studios for inviting me to do so, and indeed, if you do like the look, if you do want to get it, it is in a introductory cheaper price for the next 2 weeks, and while you can wishlist it down below, if you come back from the launch of Early Access on Steam, 5 PM tomorrow, or today, or the 18th, whenever you're listening to this, UK time, then you can use a special link, which will not only give you that discount, but help us out immensely too. That aside though, I want you all to make your own decision in this. Don't go out gallivanting, adding it to your Steam cart because I've said so. I want you to listen, I want you to see, and I want you to come to the conclusion that I have, that this really does look, like, I'll be honest guys, just freaking phenomenal. Oh my god. The visual style, yes, we've talked about, of course we have. It's gorgeous. Like the living painting aesthetic, a world come alive. A brutal world, but a fantastic one. A dark world, but yet a vibrant one. From the characters to the cutscenes to the combat to the moment-to-moment gameplay and exploration, every little part of it is so brilliantly handcrafted, detailed, and worth a good old oogle. But that's not enough to stand up on its own. What actually is going on here? If I had to kind of sum it up using games you're like to know of, imagine taking the very best of a Souls game, of an ARPG a la Diablo, of something like maybe Stardew Valley or Animal Crossing, and combining it into a beautiful amalgamation that still very much strives on its own. Now, they call it an ARPG, and yet that is fair. The inventory system, equipment, stats, setting up your character, it does feel kinda Diablo-y in that sense, but Ironically, I think calling it an ARPG almost doesn't do it justice, almost works against it, because when you hear that, you think Diablo, Last Epoch, Path of Exile, you think loot pouring everywhere, and it's all about your stats building up and down, it's builds and smashing through hordes of enemies, but that's not really the case. For me, the ARPG comparison sort of stops when you close your inventory, because the actual playing, well, that's where the souls comes in. You have stamina, you have weight to your attacks, you have dodging, you have meaningful moments and decisions, challenge and skill. Even just the first boss that we got to experience took some doing. Codden, I mean, I'll just say it, got his ass beat a fair amount of times before he finally conquered it. And that's just the first taste. The roster of enemies on display here and the diversity of the Apex boss challenges are very much something to be looked forward to and also feared. And that's kind of the feeling you want. It has that deliberacy in its RPG feel. It has that exploration. As much vertical as horizontal, the levels really do capture a solid sense of, well, level design. You see far off vistas, you feel the scale of everything despite the top-down aesthetic. It really is quite impressive how they have managed to blend such seemingly opposed genres in that sense. And then you've got the story woven in, which of course is hard to speak for as it currently stands, but from what we've seen, the cinematics, the cutscenes, the characters, how everything is starting and being put together, it has all the makings for a compelling adventure. It's dark, it's mature, and it's going to encourage you to see it through to the end. There is a class system, but it's not defined. It is a lot more fluid than you would expect, and you can explore many different reaches of combat. From different weapons and varied movesets to enchantments, you've got, of course, the dodging stamina system, and rune attacks, a magical flare, and all that goodness that you might be expecting woven together. I do think a bit of that could use a little bit more distinction as fully focusable, unique playstyles, but the fabric is there to build on in this early access, which it looks like it will be getting exactly that, built on based on everyone's thoughts. It is early access, so updates will come thick and fast, of course, adding systems. It is quite something to see a studio like Moon Studios go into this, with this project that is massive and fairly different, let's be honest, from Ori that we have known before. But then you have that very much back end that really is the cherry on top for me. You have a town, a capital that will change and evolve over time depending on what you do. That's already kind of, you had me at hello, but then we have a housing system that you can design the interiors and get that going on and have that kind of home area. It seems to me the goal is to have these perilous, gritty, brutal forays into the field, bosses and death and fighting for every step, exploring the world's secrets, finding different paths. Indeed, in our preview session that we had, some of the developers told us that we have found little secret pathways that they, while developing it, hadn't actually realized existed in their own extensive playing of the game through the process, which tells you a lot about the routes and possibilities that are going on here. I think linear might certainly be not the word to choose here. You've got crafting, you've got all the trappings of the gear side that does shine through with that ARPG label, and I think it might end up being a stroke of genius to combine that sort of looting inventory side that we know and love, and honestly is quite compellingly addicting, with with a combat world feel a la Souls that we also know and love. Those two things sort of really haven't met nor been ever harmoniously married as they seem to be and indeed were from what we experienced. That by itself would be good enough, but then having this, home type vibe to it when you are literally at home in your own house and having a sort of customizable back end to call your own. I mean, look, don't lie to me. You can't tell me you've not wanted a little customizable village house type area to rest up in like Elden Ring, just chilling. Yes, it might not fit the vibe of the world, but you can't tell me you've not wanted to choose what type of furniture you're rocking in your Elden hut. In any case, that's something you are going to be able to do here. I definitely think there are tweaks needed. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. In fact, there's not many of them at all, given the grim nature of the journey. But in any case, in all seriousness, there is a few elements that definitively I think will get changed through early access, such as how it very much rewards being reckless with both your health and your playstyle outside of bosses due to how enemies work. There isn't that sort of everything is going to respawn, you've lost your souls, air quotes, when you die, you gotta be careful. You really can just plow through the levels and progress in a way that a lot of people may not prefer. But that is something rather minor. All I can say as a deep RPG, difficult, meaningful boss combat, customization, looking after my own thing that I can choose how it be fan, this really does seem to blend all the elements that really does it for me in a way that I am so excited to fully dive into. And while I'm not going to say I implore you to do the same, again, I want you to make your own decision. I am not here to try and, convince you to get the game. I am here to really put it in front of you and go, hey, this is what it looks like is happening. I think it's pretty damn cool, and I don't want this to somehow go under the radar because I think it deserves a chance. A lovely equipment, character, class system taken from an ARPG, a combat system of stamina rolling deliberately weight and deadliness out of a Souls game, and a homestead out of, as I say, Stardewy, Animal Crossing-esque to come back to, is the trifecta that gets me very excited, and very excited I am, and that's why I could not help but tell you guys about it. I didn't have to make a video like this. I could have made a guide when it launched and said that it's sponsored, but I really do feel inspired to talk about it in this way and see what you guys have to say if you do indeed decide to play. I didn't intend that to be a little trifecta of rhymes there, but I'm rather glad with how it came out. Which, I imagine, is also a similar sentence a lot of the developers of No Rest for the Wicked said when they decided it was ready for early access. In any case then, yeah, that is No Rest for the Wicked as I see it, a very sort of higher level overview of how it wants to be, and the kind of feelings it stirs. And I would love to know what feelings it stirs in you for now, before we jump in tomorrow. And again, if you do want to jump in, it would mean a lot if you do so via the link down below. For now then, like if you enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more. Consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.